From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars, pop culture, the ultimate adventure, life itself. Did I say that too weary? I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Jen Landa.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
We're here to talk about Star Wars news. But a lot of other things in life going on as well. And sorry if I'm trying not to wear it on my face. I had a lot of fun with Star Wars this past week, so we're going to have great things to talk about there. Before we dive in, as always, I'd like to remind you today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Be like my fiance and listen to a book till like 4 a.m. And then go. I stayed up too late because the book was too good. We're recommending Crimson Climb by E.K. Johnston. I am ready to read that because I am, as I've been saying, in my Star Wars Outlaws era, finally. And I'm working. I got an excellent reputation with Crimson Dawn, so I'm going to want to know more about the Crimson Climb. Download your free audiobook today by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audio book. That's one part of our A's. Joseph, we do have some other asks and P's.
Is right. Some A's, some P's, some LA's, all sorts of things. The LA was Life Adventure. We're just going to start telling you about how to get different places in Los Angeles here on the podcast. Everybody will love that.
I'm there.
For asks, we have had these goals for a while to continue to build our Patreon, and people have answered the call. We reached 415 a while back, and we're going to do a private stream for Patreon members exclusively. I apologize. I slowed that up by working on that movie, but we're going to talk schedules and calendars and get that on the books. Then we added another goal to reach 420, which we have also done, so we will come up with a big prize for that, and thank you, everyone who has supported us on Patreon. We actually grabbed a queue for this episode because news is a little bit light from our patrons on Patreon. So thank you. Questions have continued to trickle in, and we'll grab some more questions from Patreon. Thank you as always for that. Also want to remind you that we are on Blue Sky and Threads. I suppose I should say that we are on Blue Sky and Threads because I spend way more time on Blue Sky. So if you chat with us on social media, I will more likely see it on Blue Sky myself.
Same. Ditto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other things going on here, too. We want to promote a couple things. We'll say it at the end of the show, but up top for those checking in, if you're local, if you are LA, if you do know how to get around LA, myself and Joseph and some other wonderful comics will be at Flappers Comedy Club this Friday. Tell us if you're coming. Leave a comment if you're local. We want to see you. And if you're there, make sure you come up and say hi and give your username, unless we already met you, like 8984M, Johnny Starlight, some of the other folks in the past who came to your birthday show, which was a lot of fun. That is this Friday night, January 10th, 7:30 p.m. At Flappers Comedy Club. Beautiful downtown Burbank. Do you like chain restaurants? I got the town for you. And then also, Joseph and I are going to be on the Resistance broadcast with John and Lacey this Thursday. That's January 9th, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. You're probably in other time zones. This is exciting stuff. We're going to be talking about Skull and the Crew. It's their Galactic Goonies show. But this is the first ever official, not counting maybe a Schmodown second or something, but this is the first ever ForceCenter Resistance broadcast crossover event. So more to come. It's going to be a lot of fun there.
Yeah, very excited for that.
Very excited indeed. And the LA is up. Life Adventures. Jen, check in. How are you? Life Adventures, did you hang up that sheet? Is that sheet just always there behind you on camera?
You know what? My daughter came in last time we were recording and ripped it down. I was like, I thought you would enjoy it, like a little cave or something. No, didn't want it. Mm-hmm. Life Adventures, nothing to report. Went down to San Diego. My family was still sick, but we powered through, and now they're well. Kids are off at school, and now I guess my vacation begins, but not really because I got stuff to do. So yeah, I have nothing to report. The end.
Are you? Where are you at in school right now? Have you started, or where's that at?
I'm a couple weeks. I go back to school in a couple weeks. 3 classes, including statistics. I'm mathematically challenged, so this is going to be a real challenge for me.
Mm.
Yeah. So just trying to crash land like the onyx cinder. Trying to
I
make it.
I don't think I'm naturally gifted at math, and I also know many people who teach math who get mad at me when I say that because they come
Right.
from it from a perspective of you're not taught it well,
Right.
which so I think I was also not taught well. So by the time I got to college, I was just like, how can I get the math credits out of the way? And one of the classes I took was statistics, and that was easier for me because it was a more direct just set of rules and formulas, which I know math is, but hey, I wasn't taught well. But I had a good time in statistics, so maybe there's hope. I'm staring at the twin suns of statistics for you, and
Yeah.
hoping for good things on the horizon, Jennifer.
Listen, I had a physics class last semester, and my physics professor was awesome. He was a Star Wars fan. The first day of class, he was wearing a Comic-Con t-shirt. The next time, it was a Star Trek t-shirt. Another time, it was a Star Wars t-shirt. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is my kind of professor. And I learned so much, and I thought I was terrible at science. I love science, so anything is possible.
Did he teach a class on how the bombs in The Last Jedi were magnetic, and that's why they fell, not
Oh,
gravity?
boy. Oh boy. He would have loved if I brought that up. He would have geeked out for like an hour. We would just ask him random questions and he would just go off. It was fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing. As someone who went all the way to algebra 2 trigonometry, passed and then forgot all of it, I sympathize with both your stories.
Yes. Yes.
I bet you guys had a lot more exciting adventures.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think Joseph did. I did not as well. I mean, it's not a bad week. It's not there's some life stuff going on with family and politics, which turn out have a lot to do with life. But try explaining that to family. In terms, especially in terms of Star Wars, I've started a slow Book of Boba Fett rewatch. Meaning like I'm not sitting down and watching it, or I'm not doing an entire like cardio session with it, which is how I do a lot of my rewatches. I just have it on while I'm either working out or working. So, but it's a lot of fun, and I've loved that series. I know we've talked about it, and I've always said my party line is I get a lot of the complaints. I can nod my head, and I still do, and I have some of them, and maybe even a little bit more in terms of some of the acting choices and some of the writing that I wish was a little bit more free and natural and flowing. But episodes 1 and 2 were damn good. Like I'm not going to apologize anymore for that. And I haven't rewatched the other ones, but episode 1 and 2, I finished that. I was like, there's no notes. Like these are great Star Wars episodes, and it's been fun to revisit that.
I think 2 in particular is one of the best hours of Star Wars television, and the train stopping heist, one of the best action sequences in Disney Plus era.
Yep. So there you go. So that, other than I finally beat some high rollers and outlaws, I just got to Kijimi. Like, I landed. I haven't even stepped out my ship. I had to turn it off. Like a petulant child. I guess I'll turn off my game. And go deal with life. But anyways, that's me. That's Jed. Joseph, I know you had a chance to get out of town finally and celebrate, and life adventures, I'm sure, flow.
Yes. No, it's been such a weird time. I think the holidays falling right in the middle of the week. I don't know if both of you experienced this. Like, I'm very lucky to have some time off and some time with my wife finally. But I'm got to the point where, like, I'm craving just a normal week because I don't know what day it is. So, we went out of town for New Year's, which was lovely, very lucky. We were there on, Wednesday and Thursday, got back Thursday night, and then Friday got up, did ForceCenter, and it felt entirely like a Monday. And then it's like, what is this Saturday? How does Saturday follow Monday?
Yep.
Very, very confusing. So getting back to the routine will be lovely. But my wife and I were able to go to the beach area. We actually went to a harbor, and the hotel was at a harbor, so we got to see all the people who put like little holiday lights on their yacht.
Very, I love
very nice. Very, very nice. So this was not a fancy hotel, by the way. A Holiday Inn by the harbor.
That's anyway.
So there's this downtown area in the small town that not that small town that we go to, that we love going to, and my wife noticed that there was a new toy store, and she was like, Not sure if I should tell you about this because I know you're trying not to collect as much, but there's a new toy store, and like, okay, well, we'll pop into it. It's probably not going to be that good. And then there was a Boba Fett mat right when you walked in. It's like, oh no,
Oh
it's
no.
it was fabulous. I posted about it on social media. It was the wall of Star Wars toys. And especially it's hard to find those, and it's particularly hard to find one that's curated incredibly well. It has all sorts of different figures from all sorts of different eras. That short line of Rebels figures that are hard to find. They had the Thrawn that was released with the Rogue One line. They had so many different treasures, and I had told my wife, like, I really don't think I need anything. And I was like, a kid at Christmas, and she was like, well, pick one out for now, and then tell me one you want and walk away, and maybe you'll get a present for your birthday. So it was literally one of them. She was like, walk out of the store and I'll pick it up. But the one I did pick up for myself, which I couldn't resist, was Gragra from Phantom Menace.
Nice.
Gragra's species is a Swokes. She's the one who is selling Gorgs for 7 whoopie-yuppies. Gragra, a Swokes, whose chief line is whoopie-yuppie. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, just like one of those, like, that's a cool puppet thing that does look like, how did this escape from the Muppet Show and get on the set of actual Star Wars? Just I'm looking up at her right now. Beautifully ridiculous, and it was just I don't know if you guys had this time when you were a kid where you went somewhere and your parents said you could have one. I was basically my own parent saying I could have one, and like, what was the truth that spoke to me of which one did I need? And it was kind of fun. That was like, the one that I truly need is just the weirdest bleeping one I can find. Gragra.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I heard swokes, whoop whoopie. I mean, you're saying words we all understand. You need to have that in your collection.
Yeah, and all the characters in that line, it's the Saga Collection line, have stats on the back, and some of them are humorous, and hers is like species, swokes, some other thing, and then it was hygiene, bad.
No.
Sick burn on Gragra.
That's,
cruel.
She's out there selling frogs all day in the hot desert sun. Come on.
Give her a break. Who? Tell me whose hygiene is good.
Yeah.
Clearly not Kenobi's.
Yeah.
Dika.
According to Dika, indeed. Well, wonderful. Yeah, I saw your picture of the wall of figures, and I did think you had found, like, it was a vintage photo you had posted, right? Like, because I couldn't see the figures that close, and immediately I was like, oh, I remember those. Oh no, he found one. I
found it. I found a wall. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. Can't wait to go back.
Wonderful. I'll make it a reoccurring adventure. Indeed. We're going to look at some Star Wars news. And quite frankly, there's really only one news story to discuss. And it actually was from New Year's Day last week. So we're going to dive into that. But like Joseph said, we'll have a question at the end, too. So we can hang with you here a bit on New Year's Day. Clayton Sandell, as I described him, a consummate newsman. He's a journalist through and through, and an author, co-writer on some Star Wars books out there now. He launched his Substack. You can subscribe, and he had an interview on it with Jake Lloyd. He had previously, earlier, I think 2024, springtime, I think, had done an interview with Jake's mom, with the blessing of Jake, but now he spoke to Jake directly. Great interview. Check it out. Jake addressed his struggles with his mental health, schizophrenia, neurological condition that causes patients to deny their symptoms subconsciously, which is kind of a new revelation that's kind of changed the game and helped Jake move forward a bit with an understanding of that. He's still a Star Wars fan, though he's behind on the shows, which I understand that. Not behind on the shows, but behind on other things. He expressed a lot of gratitude toward Star Wars fans and admitted he's been playing Star Wars video games as well, like Star Wars Force Unleashed and others. But I wanted to bring it up here so we could dive in a little bit deeper into Jake and his place in the Star Wars story. Jen, general reaction to hearing from Jake himself and any of these new insights, and where do you go?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's a very delicate situation because with schizophrenia, there's no cure per se. It can be managed. And so, this is something that I'm floored that he's able to have awareness and he needs to be treated, and that he was having these delusions and paranoia. that is huge, because one of the most difficult things in my experience dealing with schizophrenia is to have the person aware that their reality is not real. And, a lot of times people associate schizophrenia with somebody talking to themselves on the street. Oftentimes it can be somebody who seems completely lucid, and you might even believe what they're saying until you start to unravel it a little bit. And especially as someone who is a celebrity, having paranoia, I would not be surprised if somebody's following him, or, those kinds of things. And so
Right.
bravo to his mom for continuing to help him and to fight for him and to lead him through this, and to himself to be able to get through this. I mean, it's an incredible story that is hope. It gives so many people who are going through this, and families, it gives us hope. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, and his mom saying it had been present on his father's side of the family, and so the history there. Great insight, Joseph. You, man, wow.
Yeah, I think I'm really. I know that fans have sort of clamored for. I hope Jake Lloyd comes to Star Wars Celebration and things like that, and I hope that he comes to a place where that is beneficial to him. So, but that was always my reaction of like, is that what he wants? Is that going to be good for him? So I was very happy with the article that came out last year with Clayton talking to his mother, and I think we discussed it, and Star Wars fans were happy for it. I thought it was a great agency that Jake Lloyd wanted to have the conversation himself. So I think there was that. It would be great if there had just been an update from its mom, but hey, I'm getting on top of this situation, this reality as best as I can, and I want to have a voice. I want to have a conversation. I was also really I think very, very highly of Clayton, and I didn't doubt it, but I was really happy to see that the piece was very honest, and that it wasn't trying to sort of go like he defeated this forever. That there were all sorts of great quotes, and there was that line acknowledging that sometimes Jake went off on some tangents, and sometimes he maybe looked for a word, and I think that's just so responsible. To say, like so many things in life, it's not a beginning and middle and end. It's not a we defeat the dragon and the village lives happily ever after. That life is a journey, and that specific challenges in life are ongoing challenges. And so I was able to honestly just sort of embrace what's wonderful about him speaking out and speaking with agency because of the honesty of the piece, because it wasn't trying to say, and Jake Lloyd lived happily ever after. Send him your fan request to appear everywhere. It was very honest and very human, which made it uplifting to me.
I really like that Fiona. That's very insightful the way you framed that. Of just it when I opened it, I had no expectations when I opened the article, other than excited to hear from him. But yeah, I guess you maybe as a fan you want that, and I'll see you in Tokyo. And that's just not realistic. And I've been one for years who said, man, I wish he had that moment. But if it's even right, once things started to emerge over the years, if it's right and if it's even possible, and I think maybe one day it could be, but it isn't about that, and it's about this bigger story that I've really appreciated hearing a little bit more from Jake of just having an understanding now more than maybe in the past of what's going on, and his mom, like you said, being honest about some of the steps forward, but that there is a forward. And that's a great thing to take from it. There can be a forward, but a lot of it has to do with understanding where you are now, and when you physically can't, when you like a neurological condition that's like, don't take those meds. Why would you take those meds? That's devastating to hear, but to be able to hear it, know it, own it a little bit as you move forward with it, owning that sense of, all right, cool. Here's what I have to work with. I loved hearing it. And Jen, you seem to have some first-hand experience that maybe I was unaware of dealing with this the whole situation in families and everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, boy, it's wonderful that she has helped shield him, and that's why I really appreciated this interview by Clayton, because if it was anyone else, I might have given it the side eye. and worried that they were not exploiting it, but sensationalizing it, right? Like, or like trying to put a neat little bow on it, like you're saying, Joseph, like, and now everything's fine and he's back, right? So knowing that Clayton's intentions are pure and he is a fan, but he's also got the ethics of a journalist, I really, really appreciated that. And I thought that it was really well done, very sensitively, which is, it's a very sensitive topic. And I like that they're like, he's not going to be going and to conventions. He's not there yet, but here's where we are. And this should be, in my opinion, it should be celebrated.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that I liked about it is just this picture that has, it's been there that he is a fan and has been a fan of Star Wars and pop culture in general. So to see that sort of, obviously he's going to be asked about Star Wars, but the quote about I just beat Force Unleashed, so I'm looking forward to playing Force Unleashed too. I had never seen Jingle All the Way until this holiday season. Jingle All the Way, an Arnold Schwarzenegger film that came out in the later 90s, I believe 96, 97. Jake Lloyd is the main kid character, and the whole film is about wanting a toy. So to imagine this kid who was a kid, who liked toys, and he wants a fake superhero, and that's one role. And then his next role is Anakin Skywalker. And to know that he grew up in like, I want to play Force Unleashed, and here's my Ahsoka Black series. In my picture with my mom, it feels very honest to see somebody who is like, I have all these other parts of me and all these victories and all these struggles, but I'm also like, I'm a fan. It's a real human thing. Through line.
There's a great energy to the interview that I think you're tapping into, Joseph, with your kind of reaction and description of it. Like, I think we are so used to the Rolling Stone interview, the Barbara Walters special. And I had this like, this is going to be a 19-page piece. And it just seemed like a casual, fun, important conversation that Jake had trust in Clayton to have with, that this relationship, like you talk about, Jed, and ethics and journalism, and just that's why I'm not joking when I say like Clayton to me is like a real newsman in every good sense of that word. So I love seeing that on display. That it just kind of had I'm gonna beat Force Unleashed too. It had a casualness to it that I really appreciated. It was normal. Jake's mom, in the interview, and as she had done in the previous conversation, insisted that the problems outside of Star Wars were the driving factors behind the change in Jake's acting career. And that certainly makes sense. There, over the years, with the legacy prequels, we'll talk about that here. You could have maybe questioned that, but a lot of this now, for me personally, this is a personal thing. Like, this all makes tragic sense, right? That it was not just simply about the business. But what do we feel about that part of the prequel trilogy legacy being this ongoing so-called redemption? Meaning, I don't know if Ahmed and Jake and the movies themselves needed redemption, but an entire generation kind of made it seem so, that we may have been a part of, not necessarily directly, but in the theaters with. So what do you think about this ongoing redemption of the film, the performers, and also the young fans, Jen, that loved them from the start?
I think that this, thanks to social media and really getting to hear from the performers themselves about how they felt during that time, specifically Ahmed Best. I think it's just like also just the nature of the way that things are is we have more of a direct line to actors and celebrities, and we can hear when they're upset, like Chappell Roan or whoever, Selena Gomez, right? They take to their social media to say, I am upset. You guys are making me angry. And so that's a good thing about social media. And I think people are becoming more aware of how damaging that these people are people. And yes, some of them make great money and uber famous, whatever, but they are still people, and it can be horrible to have the world hate you. And I actually think, they were able to probably shield Jake to some extent because of his age, and also because we did not have TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff where he might have accidentally stumbled upon it. I mean, maybe he did later in life, but boy, now that would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, God, yeah. You're making me. I'm going back. Like, all right, maybe by Attack the Clones and Revenge, we, early MySpace, early Facebook, Friendster. That's a different world as it is now. Oof.
And there was some decorum. You know what I mean? Even though there wasn't, like, there were still trolls and like
Right.
it wasn't like how it is now, where you have millions of people on TikTok just like bashing somebody, you know, for looking the wrong way, like Hailey Bieber or whatever it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was the like print articles back in the day. There was the one that Ron Howard called out for, you know, being too hard on a child actor and things like that. I don't know. This looking at the prequel trilogy and Phantom Menace's arc through this lens is really complicated, because there's the reappraisal of the film, which is the generation who grew up with it as kids who always loved it. There's the question of, you know, whether or not you think it's a great film, how much of our generation's baggage was, it was not what we ordered.
Right.
We wanted a taco and we were served a burger. So are we actually engaging with the film? There's all that stuff that's about appraisal of the actual film. And then there's stuff that's like appraisal, like you're talking about, Jennifer, of how we engage with media, and more importantly, how we engage with actors. I feel like the films of the prequel trilogy, and maybe George Lucas, and maybe Ewan McGregor, maybe there's some amount of they get redemption. In terms of the way that people spoke about Jake Lloyd and Ahmed Best, does the public get redemption? Do we deserve redemption? It's you know, that's not about the film or the actors. That's about culture and society, in terms of the redemption arc. And maybe this article and maybe the reception to it is getting there. I do also I wanted to know for myself, so I looked up because I couldn't remember when the mugshot had come out of Jake Lloyd. Of like, I couldn't remember what year that was. That was 2015, which is getting to be a while ago now. It's 10 years ago, but it was, you know, still close enough in time that the poor treatment of actors and the poor treatment of Jake Lloyd and the need to make an obvious and dumb podcasting joke or pod racing joke, excuse me, it's more important than treating somebody like a human. That wasn't that long ago. So to me, it's also important to be like, yeah, back in 99, people were pretty hard on this child actor. Like, no, as recently as 2015, people were not being their best selves online.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's an ongoing situation, indeed. And yeah, in terms of like who gets or deserves redemption, that's why I always have this idea of like, you know, forgiving Jar Jar. No, Jar Jar's not the one that needs to be forgiven. Ahmed's not the one that needs to be forgiven. Yeah, and it's been fun to watch. We keep saying that a lot, and you know, we've tracked our journey from being in the theater in '99 to now. There's things I'm fine and happy with my Star Wars journey on. There's moments even as 2014 of just like kind of making sure I went out of the way to say I was displeased with Hayden as a performer. You know, while two other people on a show I had were like, no, you're wrong, and it turns out they were right. They were right. It wasn't even about the performance. It was about me not wanting to see something that was there. Burger versus taco. Now I just want all of them. I want a burger taco. But it's fun. So I'm moved by those, and I think we all are moved by those moments of Hayden crying at Anaheim and I think even in London, right? I'm moved by Ewan finally getting to say I'm back. I'm moved by Ahmed Best telling that story of running into the girls on the street with the Jar Jar shirts in Chicago. So yeah. I think, and it's like I have to acknowledge that, yeah, selfishly, it's like I want that moment for Jake, but is that for Jake or is it for me? I want that moment for Natalie Portman. Is it for her or is it for me? But it is part of this ongoing journey, just to, I don't know, because we all had a lot of prequel kids around us who are, by the way, like 35 now, like Jake himself. And it's just good to have them go, yeah, see that thing I loved that moved me, that inspired me. It did all those things, and I no longer have to apologize for it. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really hope that there is a time where it is good for him, Jake Lloyd, to want to be at a convention, because clearly he is a fan, and I think the fact that he said, no, I don't want Clayton to just talk to my mom again. I want to speak, sounds like, hey, I want to have agency. I want to take reins. I want to be direct with the people who are wondering about me, the fans and all that. So I hope there is a day where it is good for him. It would certainly be good for the community, but it needs to be good for him.
Yeah, especially because those things are so much bigger now, right? There's so many more events, and some of the ones he'd been at were different. And there's that horrible interview that was out there before 2015, but not too much for it. I'd have to look up the actual date. I don't know if you both remember that, where it's just some guy just being his snarky internet self, and it just was awkward and horrible and angry and this, and it just, that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And luckily, maybe we've moved past that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Final thought on this, though. I just wanted to celebrate Jake's actual contributions to the Star Wars saga, because I think they're huge and important and fun and warm. And Jen, going back to 99 and just what he brought to the table as young Anakin. Anything you want to celebrate as we talk about Jake and his legacy with Star Wars?
In watching his performance now with my kids, the thing that I understand why George cast him is his innocence. He really feels like a real kid, not a child actor putting on this kind of thing. Everything feels very authentic. And, of course, some of the lines, like, "Are you an angel?" Things like that, which are just, it's funny because I think it's like, it makes me think of George, like George's writing, right? But the piece delivers it very earnestly. And he's very kid-like in his joy and his celebrating of these triumphs, and for young people who are watching it, it's cathartic for them, And so me as an older teen watching it, obviously it was a little different for me, but I understand now why he was the perfect choice for the character.
Sorry.
Oh, no. I was just agreeing. It was really fascinating to see him in Jingle All the Way and realize, like, well, maybe this is a part of what put him on Lucas's radar, because it is such a. I always avoided that film because from the trailers or the commercials, it looked like really the kind of humor I did not like at the time. Very, very broad. Humor and Arnold Schwarzenegger fully in his, like, I'm going to be a comedy guy now mode. Right. And it was filmed in Minneapolis. So there was all sorts of, there's some funny things where he teleports miles and miles, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I thought Jake Lloyd was really great in it and playing some broad comedy beats, but also playing some, like, he was the motivation for the whole film of wanting a better relationship with his father who wasn't there for him. So there was this, actual connection to some of the emotions that he's playing in The Phantom Menace. And I think there's so much in his performance in The Phantom Menace that is fantastic. In the things that this day I'd go like, that line's a little flat. I can say the exact same thing about Samuel Jackson, and it's not the actor. That as much as I love Phantom Menace, as much as George Lucas is one of my absolute inspirations, one of the fascinating things about him is sometimes I think he is a little bit of he's such a logical thinker. Like, say the line and it'll be clear what you mean. And I think sometimes you need a little bit more emotion, and I think there's some of that direction that I feel in all the prequels, even though I love them to death. And honestly, Attack of the Clones is my favorite to watch. Those I'll still be like, that line could have used a little more emotion. Totally. So that has nothing to do with Jake Lloyd, and I think that's the important thing to me. Of like those couple lines that are like, a little flat. That's not this poor child at the time. What I do really celebrate now is that taco burger thing of what did I want? What did I expect? And I think that I have so embraced what Lucas wanted and intended that I then really enjoy the performance of exactly what you were saying, Jennifer, of he isn't like an archetype, and he isn't like just an angel or just a dark, ominous presence. The parts of the Phantom Menace that sing for me is like he is a real kid and totally understandable human. His natural instinct is to be kind and helpful, and he's friendly and wants to have fun and wants to have friends and wants to help people. But he's also been scarred at a young age by a horrific life. So he has some moments of darkness and anger and pushing back. My name is Anakin, and and I'm a human. All that is really, that texture is really, really great. And I think so many of my favorite moments are him doing a great job playing the real fear and anxiety that a kid would feel about leaving his mother, about feeling lost without Qui-Gon. And some of those smaller beats with him, I think, are phenomenal acting and really, really set the groundwork great for everything that happens with the Anakin character, all the way from Hayden to Sebastian Shaw in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on the building blocks of the Anakin story. The redemption of Vader maybe begins at that dining room table on Tatooine for me. And to what you're talking about, Jen, too, I'm thinking of the great doc, The Beginning, the Phantom Menace doc. If anyone out there hasn't seen it by now, seek it out, or maybe you're just discovering it for the first time, whatever. They chose to have that moment in there where you got the stumbling over Coruscant, and they play that, and then there's that little moment where George I might be talking to Rick McCallum. I can't even remember that part, but he's just kind of George is saying, "Yeah, look, I get it. Maybe you'd get something else. You hit a mark every time. The technical side of it, but what we're getting is the warmth. What we're getting is the story begins with this loving boy who just wants to help people." And that's what you're getting by these more just natural moments that shine. When it shines through, it shines through. And I absolutely think that's true. And then it plays well when he's absolutely mad dog and Mace, Yoda, Kiadi-Mundi, cold, sir. Like that whole sequence is just wonderful. It's powerful. And you go back and watch it, and it is a absolute building block moment. And I think you get that from what you're talking about, Jen. This kid's kid who has a big, wide open heart. And that's what George needed. He needed that. That was Anakin. Anakin.
And I paraphrase the line badly, that I'm a person, my name is Anakin. I always liked that because it was like, yeah, he's sweet and kind, but like a real human kid, he has some pushback and some sensitivity and some, like you're saying, and the cold sir is like a flash of of some of the understandable fear, pain, anger, resentment, all that great stuff. And I think I think it's hard to watch The Phantom Menace without even knowing the whole arc. How did this kid become this monster? Yeah. And I think having a kid who is warm and relatable and says yippee makes you think that question. I think that's what Lucas really, really, really wanted to show, is how the question. And going back to the machete order and the whole. You don't even need Phantom Menace narratively. Like, I disagree with that, but most importantly, for the point of the journey of Darth Vader, you absolutely need it.
Yeah,
you need this kid who he could be anything, and what led him to what he became.
Indeed. Thanks, Jake, for bringing to life this young Anakin that is fuel for so much more in the Star Wars saga. It's one of the great things. Yeah, and we'll, of course, be monitoring the story, and updates, I'm sure, will come if they're wanted, needed, and, of course, we'll talk about it here. So check out
Sorry, can I shout out one other thing?
Yeah, totally.
About his performance. He also has some really well-delivered comedy bits. I think the So You're a Pilot, All My Life is great. The I'll make sure Mom doesn't sell you anything. Bye. Like, not only the warmth and a little bit of edge, but he has some great comedy moments as well.
And which is a building block too, because Vader loves his jokes.
Yep.
Vader loves his jokes. If you haven't checked it out, check out the interview. You can subscribe to Clayton's Substack, and I think it's worth it. Though I think currently he's made it public. He almost had to, because we were talking about it. Let's figure he knew and wanted it to generate a news story. I don't even say this cynically. That's what it should have happened. But it was amazing to watch it spin out, as always, where this website's covering it, and maybe at the bottom they'll credit the original source, or maybe an Instagram meme of "Did you know?" And it's like it's the cycle is frustrating at times, but at least people are aware of Clayton's contribution to the conversation, of course. All right, that's the news. I am out of here. No, we got a great question, Joseph.
Well, if you need to leave, let us know.
No.
Since we had a shorter amount of news this week, I wanted to grab a question from a patron on Patreon. This comes to us from James Holmes, who posted this a little while back.
James.
And James says, "Hello there. On one of your recent shows, you mentioned Count Dooku's exquisite PJs, and it got me thinking. I was recently subjected, says James, to a work do out where I was given my own hotel room, and it got me thinking, if I had to share a hotel room with a Star Wars character, who would be the best/worst? I feel like the best one is easy. It's Lando. Would show you a good time, and post Empire Strikes Back, nothing would go wrong. Worst case, Kiadi Mundi.
Yeah.
Would be very judgmental when you came back from the night out, and I just feel like he'd hog the shower in the morning. Palpatine style. Sorry if that's been asked before, newish to this channel. No one has asked us who would shower the longest if we were rooming with them at a hotel. So great question, James. On the best and worst Star Wars character to share a hotel room with. Ken, do you have characters that pop to mind instantly?
Yeah, I have a best and worst, and James, we're in opposition here. My worst is Lando. He's too neat. And if we're talking about a living situation, a co-living situation, I appreciate. By the way, I'm averagely messy to organized messy is how I describe it. But when Kira walks in, just the Falcon. I'm a Han Falcon guy. When you walk into that Falcon at Lando's, I'm like, I don't know. It's not comfortable for me. It's not. It's too clean. There is a line, and Han might push past it. I think Chewie might be responsible for some of that too. I wouldn't want to shower after Chewie. Maybe with him like Han seems convenient in Solo. But yeah, that's my Lando one. Lando's the worst for me.
Lando's the worst.
Yeah, I think we'd butt heads. We'd have a good time, but
yeah. But also, like, if you left your wallet out,
you can't trust them.
And Lando was down at the casino. I mean, there's a lot of the same thing with Han.
Yeah.
I think Han would be challenging. Jennifer, do you have a best or worst? Do you have a strong opinion on the great Lando debate?
I would 98% of the Star Wars characters I would not want a room with at all. Like none of them. For hygiene, for annoyance, for threatening my life, like being betrayed. It was not good. So obviously I'm going to pick a female. Well, not obviously. I suppose I could pick anybody, an alien or something. But I'd rather have Aunt Beru. Because Aunt Beru, she's going to know how to take care of me. If I get a wound, she's going to be like, you see a medic, or no, I can bandage it up. Let me make you some, delicious whatever soup with vegetables. Here's some blue milk, right?
Yeah.
And she's seen it all. Like, she's not going to be fazed by anything. Like, I could be messy and she's not going to care. She'll clean up after me. And she's not going to be super neat either. She might be a little tidy and like fold her clothes up just so. She's perfect. Nobody else. I'm not Padme. Nobody. Padme would have like too many clothes. Forget it.
Well, you'd probably never stay in a hotel room alone with Padme, right? There'd probably be some guards,
guards.
And even depending on the timeline, Anakin might be lurking in the ducts, checking in on her. He had a bad dream about this hotel stay. And,
there's a guy on the balcony. Do you know him?
I'd be like, you need to leave him. He's toxic.
It's a brooding guy pacing in the hallway. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Hilarious.
Some guy named Rush Clovis just said he got his ass handed to him.
That's great.
Worst. I mean, I think this is against the spirit of James' question, but the first thing that came to mind is Bor Gullet.
Gosh.
No.
I think that'd be worse.
That's right.
You'd be trying to sleep, those tentacles slithering over. Bor Gullet will know. But yeah, I mean, Palpatine's an obvious answer, but what I was trying to picture is the person's getting ready for bed routine. And we don't spend a lot of time examining Palpatine's footwear. But I just had a mental image of Palpatine lying on the bed in his full Dark Emperor robes, but like no socks, in that his feet are just deeply evil. Like the toenails are sharpened to horrible jagged points. Maybe he has a little stress dream and a little lightning pops out of his toes. Yeah. I just can't believe anything good can come of it.
No. No. See, but you're making me think my Lando thing too. If you're sharing a room and God forbid there's one refresher, you're not getting in there.
No.
At bedtime, he's got 19 serums and potions, and you're not getting in there.
Yeah. Ken, did you say your best?
I didn't. My best, my choice is Cassian Andor.
Ooh.
Oh.
Number one, he's probably never home. He's doing things. He's off getting pizzos. But he is so, as much as all the stuff going on in his life, and he's got a lot of fears and anxieties, and there's a lot of tension, and, you never know who might show up to go through your stuff because they're looking for Cassian. But, he just seems like he's a go-with-the-flow kind of guy in his living situations. Just look at his house with Marva. His room's still this. He's still got his, attack stick and his toys up. It's casual. I would not want to be in prison with him, but within a few days, within a few rotations, he's got the system down. He's not complaining. There's a bigger picture that he's worried about. He's trying to get out. He's trying to do that thing. But he's like, all right, I drink from this tube. Got it. I'm not making an issue out of that. Just even on Niamos, he's just kind of he knows how to live in a hotel room and make that work. And I just think there's a casual approach to his living situation. I need to sleep at a sheep farm out in the wilderness and read this training manual and eat this horrible thing. All right, got it. It's the least of my concerns. I got bigger things to worry about. And I think Cassie and I would be simpatico.
Yeah. Cassian would be able to watch Game of Thrones without eating chips loudly.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, that makes me kind of a Lando, but that was more about Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And I think he'd turn off the motion smoothing, which we should have done on that television when we watched Game of Thrones. Anyway, some real life stuff. Jennifer, did you have a best?
My best was Emperor. My worst
right.
would be, like I said, there's so many for so many reasons, but I'm going to actually say Grogu. And the reason why is because I would have to be a parent. And I would...
You don't want to be right now. Yeah.
No, because in this world, I can do whatever I want, right? This is like my vacation. And the thing about Grogu as a parent is that you really can't control him. He is off getting into mischief, and with Grogu, it's going to be a life or death situation, which my kids, as mischievous as they get, most of the time it's all right. Maybe it's just them making a mess. Him making a mess, oh my gosh, or eating ice spiders, who knows what will happen. So Grogu's the worst because I wouldn't be able to sleep. I'd sleep with one eye open.
Yeah. I hope he's growing after his time with Luke. He seems a little bit better behaved, but still, if it's his first time away from dad, he might fall back into his old ways of eating everything.
Yep.
Yeah. I have two options for best. One would be sort of Mandalorian era Luke Skywalker, because he'd be fun to hang out with, fun to chat with. But he's so kind of calm and all about meditation that I feel like we could chat for a little while. And then when it's time to just go to sleep and read, he'd just be floating above the bed meditating, not bugging anybody.
Yep. Cool. He's a cool cucumber roommate.
Yep. He's got his own stuff going on. But my other temptation is if it's at all a dangerous situation, I think Fennec Shand would also be a great hotel roommate. Because I think she would probably just stand guard.
Yeah.
She would set booby traps. And she would also, based on the way I think she handles the buffet at Jabba's palace, I think she would also order a lot of really great room service food. And there would be a banquet.
Boss, wake up. You're making me laugh, Jen, because there are real life Grogus of stand-up comics. One in my old living situation with a comic who was more of a Lando, which might speak to my answer there. But we had one friend who just crashed, too drunk to drive home, slept on the couch. I woke up and he had taken my waffles out of the freezer and he was just on the couch eating the waffles cold. But with the energy of Grogu. Like, what? Is this bad?
Oh, no.
You're eating my waffles and you're eating them cold. What's happening?
Oh no.
So your answer of Grogu makes sense.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Grogu's drunken stand-up night is a fun comedy sketch I would love to see. Well, thank you, James Holmes, for the great question. It's fun to get back to doing some of these weird, fun questions.
It is. Especially when the news is a little light, as it has been lately. That's a great call there, just to pull that in. Thank you, James. Checking in from the UK, I do believe you can find us, ForceCenter, on social media, ForceCenter Pod. Like Joseph said, you want to reach us, Blue Sky might be the spot. If you want to follow up, I felt bad. So I checked in on like Facebook and Instagram messages the other day, and someone was like, "Looks like you never get here." We do, just not always to answer messages. So Blue Sky's where we're most active right now. Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. Instagram, YouTube, subscribe here. Hit that notification bell to get things like our vertical live. So apologize on Monday I couldn't do one because I just woke up and was like, yeah, I can't move. We're not doing one today. Podcast is available in a lot of spots. Just search or find us. Merch available at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. And Fourth Wall, our link down below on YouTube on that. Patreon.com/ForceCenter is where you can support us directly. Follow me at CadNapsuck. My website, CadNapsuck.com, has ticket information for the big show, January 10th. Flappers Comedy Club. Great lineup of comics. Check it out. Got Joseph, got Winston A. Marshall, and a whole lot more, and me. So a lot of fun on that one. If you're local, let us know if you're coming out. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram at Jennifer Landa or TikTok at Jennifer Landa 1138.
Love it. Joseph, thank you for taking time out from editing to be at ForceCenter. How's that going? What's the update, and where can they continue to support your film?
Yes. The editing is going slow is how it's going, but it's going to ramp up as we get into the new year and the new groove. But if you are interested in anything I have going on, particularly the films, you can check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com. There is a link there to a great organization called Film North, which can collect donations to the film, tax-deductible donations. I got a lot of post-production adventures and expenses in front of me, so if you want to help out, you can check that out there. You can also find me on all the social media, Blue Sky in particular. And on January 10th, you can find me on stage with Ken, so go check that out.
Going to be a lot of fun. All right, that is it. So for all the greatest roommates in the galaxy, thanks for being you. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.